from Farmer Brown's Paradise. Happy New Year! It's January 1st, 2018, and I thought I'd make a New Year's resolution to be more consistent with putting out videos. So today, it's going to be all things eggs. That is an excellent idea. Get it? You were not invited, Lucy Brain. And what's with the hat? It's 18 degrees outside. I'll be right. No. Okay, maybe she won't show back up. Anyway, as I was saying, New Year's resolution. Right. And you know what they say. Whatever you do on New Year's Day, you will do all year long. Yep. So, I'll be hanging around like a hare in a biscuit. That's really gross.
Yep.
That's a terribly gross thought.
Johnette for giving me that redneck line of perfection.
Gosh, okay. Ignoring her. I planned this video 5 months ago, and this first part of the clip takes us to Kroger. It was the end of July, and I'm going to teach you how to pick out the freshest eggs if you aren't lucky enough like us to have some backyard chickenistas. So, roll it. Okay, we're at the store. We're talking eggs. So, if you don't have backyard chickens and you want to get fresh eggs, do you know how to get the freshest eggs? Do you know how to read the carton? Here's how I'm going to show you. So if you look at the end of the carton, you're going to see a number between 1 and 365. This one says 191. So what this means is that it was packaged on day 191 out of the year. Well, today is day 210. So that means this was packaged, what would that be? 19 days ago. So it has an August 7th date of sell by. They're allowed to have it on the shelf for 30 days after packaging. What you don't know is how old the eggs are when they get packaged. They can be up to 30 days old when they're packaged. So these eggs are almost 5 weeks old. Okay, so we're back from the store 5 months later. Anyway, there are basically 2 ways to tell if your eggs are fresh. The first way I showed you in the store is to use the dating on the carton, but one of the real true ways is called the float test, which I'm going to show you that now. Let's look at this little carton. This is the one that I ended up buying, and it has the number 186, sell by August 4th, 2017. So, yes, this little carton is 5 months old. I've been delaying getting the video out, but we're going to do it now, carefully.
Traditional.
What in the world?
Well, I was gonna do French, but I couldn't find my beret, so I went with Russian.
You don't know Russian. See? All you have to do is Google. See? Listen. Russian. It's disgusting. Okay. Oh, can we move on now? Let's move on. Here's the float test. You have a jar. Oh, before I do this, let me just show you on the screen a little thing you can print off, and it kind of shows you where things are. Let's start with some that I know are fresh. This egg is from a carton that I leave out, and I'll talk about those in just a minute. But they're probably 3-4 days old at best. And as you can see, it went straight down to the bottom, and it's laying flat, so it's very, very fresh. This one was gathered yesterday, so I know it's gonna, I don't want to break it.
Again, see, it's even laying on its side like it should because it's very, very fresh. According to that chart, if it were a week old or so, it would be tipping up like that, and it would start raising in the water the older the egg gets. Okay, now for the one we're going to be real careful with. These are the eggs that are really old. So, it's a definite floater, very much floating. So this thing is dead. All right, this is a carton, obviously, of eggs that I've used several out of it, but I wanted to talk to you. If you do have fresh eggs from a backyard chicken keeper and they haven't washed them, then you can leave the eggs out on the counter for really up to about 2 months. But you'd still want to do the float test. If you wait, you leave them out that long. We go through them pretty quickly. In the summertime, when they're really, really producing a lot of eggs, I tend to give away. I've got 3 families that have young children and appreciate the eggs, so I tend to give a lot of eggs away. There are several ways to store the eggs. Obviously, as I've mentioned, you can leave them out on the counter as long as you have not washed the bloom off of them. The bloom is a protective shell on the outside of the egg that helps keep air out and thus bacteria from getting in. You also want to store them where they're point down, because there is a little pocket of air inside the egg and it will raise to the top. And you don't want it to be like that, where the air is down at the bottom on the rounded end. Instead of, you want the pointy end down, so the air will be up here and less likely to infiltrate the egg if there is any bacteria. If you wash your eggs, those fresh eggs, then they need to go in the fridge right away. They will last quite a bit longer in the fridge than they will out on the counter. A third way to preserve eggs, if you're going to want them for a very long time, is to use something called water glass. And I believe it's 1 part water glass to 6 parts water. It might be 9. If you decide to do that, you'd have to look it up. But it is a product that was used back in World War II. They would mix this water and the water glass together and just put the raw eggs down in it in a crock, like you might make sauerkraut or something in. And that would preserve the eggs for up to 6 months, which is a pretty long time. But in the winter, if you have chickens, you already know this, in the winter time, their egg production goes way down because it's based upon the light. And the less light there is, the shorter days, they stop giving you that many eggs. Some people will put light inside their coops where their nesting boxes are to try to promote to keep the chickens laying eggs. Honestly, I just don't do that because I kind of figure those girlies need a break. So we have enough eggs that we can save through that 1 2 month little period there where they're not giving us that many eggs. And lastly, another way you can save eggs, believe it or not, is to freeze them. You break open the egg in like ice cube trays, freeze them, then pop them, put them in a baggie, and you've got frozen eggs. And use them in cooking, mostly when you're making cakes, breads, things like that. Okay, so we've talked about how to pick the freshest eggs. Let's talk now about pasteurizing eggs, because you know there are some things where we make where we use raw eggs. Mayonnaise, for example, ice cream. I can't think of anything else right now, but those are 2 pretty big things. So you really want your egg to be pasteurized. What pasteurized means is that it is there's been enough heat added to the egg for a short period of time to prevent the egg from getting bacteria in it. I don't know that I would say it's 100% foolproof, but you really want to pasteurize your eggs if you're going to make homemade mayonnaise or ice cream or anything where you're going to be eating a raw egg. So how do you do that? You might think, oh well, I'll just go to the store and make sure I buy my eggs are pasteurized. No, they aren't. The majority of the eggs in the grocery store are not pasteurized. You have to look very closely at the cartons to make sure it says pasteurized. And then when you open it up, on each individual egg, it will have a little round circle with a peak. They're much more expensive. So even if you buy eggs at the store, you're more than likely not getting pasteurized eggs. So I'll show you how to do that. Come with me to the stove. I've got my water. We want it between 140 and 142 degrees. Right now it's at 141.3 and dropping. I keep my burner on, a back burner on, in case my temperature drops too low. I can switch the pan back there real quickly. But our time is almost up here as the water is cooling. And that is 3 minutes. So at this point we're going to stop and plunge it in cold water. Okie dokie, that really wasn't very hard to pasteurize your eggs. Just remember that after you've done that, you need to put them right back in the refrigerator until you're ready to use them. When you crack them open, if you follow the process exactly right, it won't be cooked. It'll just look like a raw egg, but it's pasteurized. Lastly, boiling eggs. The perfect hard-boiled egg. Roll it. To make perfectly boiled eggs, which I will need today for potato salad, you start with a pan of cold water. Put your eggs in, turn your burner on high, and let it come to a boil. Oh yeah, extra tip on when you boil the eggs, if you'll put a little salt in the water, the eggshells won't crack. Once your eggs start boiling, you turn it down to low, put on the lid, put your timer on 12 minutes. The video said 12-minute boil. I really just do 10 minutes because the majority of my eggs are not that big, and that's really not that big an egg. It's a little bigger than a small egg, but it's not a large egg. Unless I have the Whopper Dolly eggs and a whole bunch of them, I might do 12 minutes, but I would stick with 10 minutes. Now, let's show you how to crack them. Okie doke, well I run cold water over them, so they're still a little warm, but what I do is tap on the bottom, tap on the top, rub it in my hands, and voila. Well, I guess that wraps it up for all things eggs. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned something new. And remember, bye and have good. I was first. What are you, like 12?
You know, you really need me in your video.
No, I don't need you.
Yeah, because I'm funny and you're not.
It is not a comedy channel. It is an educational channel.
No, that's funny.
Bye.
Happy